Madame la Présidente et chers membres du comité, j'aimerais vous remercier de m'avoir invité.
I would like to thank you for inviting me today. My name is Beth Potter, and I'm the President and the CEO of the Tourism Industry Association of Canada. I will make my remarks in English, but I will be pleased to answer your questions in French during the question period.
I acknowledge that we are gathered here today on the unceded and unsurrendered territories of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation. TIAC is the national advocate for tourism in Canada. Acting on behalf of thousands of businesses across the country, our work involves promoting policies, programs, and other initiatives that foster the growth of the sector. Tourism matters. It enables socio-economic development, job creation, and poverty reduction. This in turn drives prosperity and has a significant positive social impact, providing unique opportunities to women, minorities, and young people. And the benefits of travel and tourism spread far beyond its direct GDP impact and employment, with indirect gains extending through the entire travel ecosystem and supply chains to other sectors. I would highlight also that tourism plays an important role as head ambassador on the global stage in sharing Canada's values and principles and is a crucial vehicle for fostering social cohesion. As I shared with you during my last appearance, the multitude of restrictions that were put in place during the pandemic to keep Canadians safe, including border closures and lockdowns, had a devastating impact on the tourism industry. I also shared with you that as our hard work continues to recover from the pandemic, we now face new challenges: disruptions in supply chain, inflation at a 40-year high, rising interest rates, and a severe labour shortage, to name a few. We are still a very long way from recovering Canada's travel economy to its former glory. The latest forecast estimates that total tourism spending in Canada is now tracking to return to pre-pandemic levels by 2025. In fact, those estimates forecast total spending levels from both domestic and international sources to reach $80 billion by the end of this December. That's 24% lower from our pre-pandemic high-water mark. Domestic spending is expected to recover much quicker than the international market, but it's still down 16%, and international spending is down 53% compared to 2019. The international market is important to consider and actively promote. This is because foreign tourists tend to travel longer when they come to Canada, and they tend to spend more per trip. When I last spoke with you, we were hopeful to see a significant resurgence in tourism this summer. We know that people want to travel, and we know there is considerable pent-up demand to get out there and experience all that Canada has to offer. So I'm pleased to share with you that this summer season has certainly been better than the last 2 years, and there is hope for optimism. We are particularly grateful to Minister Boissonnault's leadership in launching the important process of updating Canada's tourism growth strategy. This initiative is intended to result in a comprehensive action plan to help the Canadian tourism industry rebuild from the impact of the pandemic and best position it for future growth and success. In our submission, which we tabled in early August, we outlined key priorities to help the tourism sector build forward to the economic powerhouse that it once was. We recommended that a number of key targets be achieved by 2030. These relate to tourism spending, dispersion, workforce, international overnight visitors, and our global competitive position. Critical to the success of the new federal strategy, we also highlighted the need for all tourism partners across the whole of government to work towards the same goals. In this regard, we recommended the creation of a Tourism Policy Council of Ministers led by the Minister of Tourism to ensure tourism is prioritized across federal departments and decision-making is aligned. We also identified 4 key pillars that would best underpin the new strategy. These are attract and retain a sustainable tourism workforce, improve access for visitors to and within Canada, develop and promote tourism assets, and build a regenerative and inclusive tourism industry. We emphasize that tourism is a broad ecosystem, a complex value chain that will only ever be as strong as its weakest link. Therefore, the new strategy and the measures it entails must take this reality into consideration, must be comprehensive, and must seek to bolster as much as possible each of these important links. With a new comprehensive and effective strategy in place, we are optimistic that the tourism industry's potential to not only recover to pre-pandemic levels in the next few years, but to return to the annual growth performance it was achieving up until 2020. This, we further contend, will only be possible if private and public sector partners continue to work together and the right tools and measures are put in place. So you might not be surprised to hear me say that we fully welcomed the government's decision early last week to remove all remaining COVID entry restrictions, testing, quarantine, and isolation requirements for anyone entering Canada, and to lift the mandatory masking requirements. And in closing, I note that we are happy the Arrive Can app will henceforth become a voluntary tool to help streamline the customs process. I am far from convinced that it was an effective tool for controlling the entry and spread of COVID, and I know how much it caused problems for travelers and for tourism businesses. Je vous remercie. Thank you very much.